Hey, Pin Dude here from My Vintage Pinball. This is just a quick update on the Vibratory Tumblers. If you saw my last video, I more recently got this tumbler and I started using corncob as a second step. So just to review a little bit, this is the Berries tumbler. I've had this one for probably 13 plus years. It works real good. It is about $68 on the Berries website, I believe. This one I had just gotten when I started the roller games project. This is the Frankfurt Arsenal Quick and Easy Case Tumbler. This one is on Amazon and it is only $40, so almost $30 difference between these two tumblers. But here's my notes on this. These things have pretty much been running every day since I did my original vibrating tumbler video, as I'm doing all the metal parts on roller games. So I've learned quite a bit about the comparison of these two tumblers, and here's what I have to say. This tumbler, the Amazon Frankfurt Arsenal, just doesn't have the action of the media as the Berries one does. So although it does work, it doesn't do quite as good of a job, and it takes quite a bit longer. Now, if I didn't have the Berries to compare it to, I would be more than happy with this tumbler. And for $40, you can't go wrong buying this tumbler. It's still a great tumbler. But if you have the extra money, I would definitely recommend the Berry over this one, just because the action is so much better. But this one, and don't forget, I also have the funnel mod in this one that I covered in my last video. But it does a good job, as you can see. So, you know, here's like an old key that started out with like funk on it, like this one, you know, corrosion and all kinds of stuff. So this has only been in the tumbler for about 12 to 14 hours, and it's already doing a great job. You know, don't get me wrong, it's doing a great job. But comparatively, you know, this tumbler would probably do it a little faster. So these are probably going to take, you know, another day and a half before they're ready to go on to the next step. Also, my Berry tumbler, now that it's getting old, the lid is starting to crack. So I definitely need a new lid, and I showed in the last video that the inside of my bucket's getting all gunked up. I really need to get a new one of those too. I also mentioned a concern about the thinness of this plastic compared to this one. In my last video, that hasn't been a problem. It's got some gouges in it. Nothing worse than my Berry has. So that really hasn't been a concern. So let me reset up the camera and I'll show you the difference in the action of these two tumblers. Alright, so let me turn these on here. This might be a little hard to see in the video, but you can see this is really moving fast, whereas this one is not rolling nearly as fast. This one's just really rolling. And I tried everything. Like I said, I tried that funnel mod, and you know, it just made sure it was working the best it can, and it just does not compare to the Berries tumbler. Alright, so the other change that I made when I started working on roller games is I started using corncob media as my second step. That's what this lighter color media is here. This is walnut shells in this Amazon tumbler, and I have corncob in the Berries. So previously I was just using the walnut shells, and then once that step was done, I would take the parts over to the buffer and buff them out to give them a real good shine. So I started now what I do is I put the parts in the walnut shells for a day or two, depending on how crusty the parts were to start. And then they go into the corncob for usually 24 hours is enough. Sometimes I'll go to 48 hours. And what I've learned is that the second step makes a big difference, the second step in the corncob media. For most of the smaller hardware, I don't even need to polish the parts. They come out remarkably shiny. I mean remarkably. Like, Like, it is not even funny how shiny these come out. So that's going to save a lot of time. I mean, to buff all these little screws like I was doing in the past just was so time consuming. So that saves a huge step. Now on the bigger parts, I'll probably still, I'm still going to buff these. I'm still going to do my normal buffing and waxing of these metal parts. But they come out pretty good. So this was, in the walnut shells. This particular part's a bracket from the insert board of Roller Games. And that game, for some reason on the left side, it was obviously either sitting in some water or it was in a real moist area, and all these parts were quite corroded. So this was in walnut shells for 2 days, and then in corncob for 2 days, and it is just beautiful. It'll get a little better when I put it on the polisher, but it's going to be much less time consuming on the polisher than it was when I was just using walnut shells. So I can definitely recommend corncob media. And if you have the funds to buy 2 tumblers, it makes it even easier because I don't have to keep switching the media in and out from walnut shells to corncob. So if you're on a tight budget, I'd recommend getting 2 $40 Amazon tumblers. Set one up with walnut shells, one set up for corncob, and just tumble all day. Like I said, I've been tumbling. These things have been running 24 hours, 7 days a week, nonstop, for months. And they're just doing a great job. So I mentioned this in the last video, but in case you didn't see that one. So the corncob I'm using is the Frankfurt Arsenal Quick and Easy Brass Cleaning Media. And I got this off Amazon. It is a 15-pound bag of the corncob media. And it's pretty cheap. And so far, I've not had to reload it. It seems to be lasting a pretty long time. It's just starting to dust. It's just starting to dust pretty bad right now, so I should change it. And then the walnut shells is the KT brand, and it's called Walnut Pet Litter. And I get this from Amazon. This is I believe this is a 25-pound bag. And it's like $20 or maybe even $25. All right, so on to the polishing compounds that I'm using in these tumblers. With the walnut shells, I just use a couple little dabs of this Turtle Wax Premium All Metal Polish. And that's what I've always used with the walnut shells for all these years, and it works fine. And this is just a few bucks at Walmart. Now on the corncob, I've really been liking. Initially with the corncob, I was trying the Turtle Wax stuff, but I wasn't getting the finish that I really liked. So I found that the Mother's Magan aluminum polish in the corncob media for the second stage of the polishing of the hardware has been working out much better. Now this is a little more expensive, but there's quite a lot in this little container, and it lasts a really long time. And you only need, I put like 3 or 4 dabs on the top of the corncob media when I'm doing this. And then I'll run it for 24 hours and check the appearance of the hardware. And if it needs to run more, I'll put a couple more dabs in and run the parts for another 24 hours. And, as you've seen, the shine that I'm getting on these nickel-plated parts is really nice. So I hope this update was helpful. Please leave comments. If you have any, please hit subscribe, share the channel. But that'll be it for this quick update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.